Believers, have you ever heard of the phrase bread and circuses or bread and games? It comes from a Roman poet that lived somewhere at the end of the 2nd century. The phrase in Latin was panem et circenses, which is translated bread and circuses. Why? Why bread and circuses? It was the unofficial policy of the Roman Empire. And not only the Roman Empire, all the administrations worldwide adopted it because Rome governed the whole world. Rome had its own empire, its own jurisdiction, and there were extensions of the Roman power structure in other dynasties, like the Han dynasty, or you had several dynasties in India. So Rome covered the world directly and indirectly. And what the Romans understood was that the masses, they have delusions. Well, that's not anything new, that's old news. But it comes down to this. Before the Greek Empire emerged, because it's the Greek Empire that reformed into the Roman Empire, and today it has continued via the Roman Catholic Church. Behind the scenes, we know that. What the Romans back then in ancient times understood was that human beings are spirit beings. And as spirit beings, we have physical extensions, which are our bodies. We are not our bodies, but the bodies are our physical extensions. And our physical extensions need to be fed with physical resources, food and water. And without proper food and water, our physical extensions die off. So we pass away. And when people have a legitimate reason to revolt, they will revolt. When there's not enough drinking water or there's not enough food, and the physical necessities are not met because resources are divided in such an unequal way, people will become angry with the right reason. And when people are starving, their survival instinct kicks in and they go off to become mad. And when a whole crowd goes mad, you don't want that. Because if a whole crowd goes mad and they turn on each other, everyone will blame you as the rulers because you've allowed it to happen. And you will lose acknowledgement by the world. So the Roman Empire, who presented itself as a light into the world, had to bring some type of relief to the masses. That's why throughout the first Greek, then Roman Empire, they built aqueducts. Well, aqueducts was more a Roman thing, but the Roman Empire came out of the Greek civilization. So they've regulated the water supply in such a way that everyone in the empire had fresh drinking water, and there were public baths, even public toilets. So when it comes to sanitary, they made sure everyone was able to be clean, fresh, and well, I won't say well fed, but that nobody would die of thirst. So, and because of this, farmers were better equipped in farming, because for farming you need water. But if water is 20 kilometers away, it's going to be quite difficult to farm. But now, you had aqueducts transporting water all over the empire. So, they did that, and because of that, the agriculture was far better, so there was more food for everyone, so there was abundance. And normally, there was trade, so the farmer would sell his grain to the baker would sell bread, so all of that continued. But what the Romans did was they constructed quite some extensive farms in the north of Africa, where they got harvest from every year that they stored in storehouses. And they would give out free grain, which had free food to the masses. Not every day, but from time to time. That was the welfare system they had. And I believe there were times was free wine also, but I'm not sure about free wine, but there was free bread or free grain that you can make bread out of. So they made sure everyone had enough water and that there was a food supply in case someone was poor. That's very important. But this alone does not satisfy the human being. The human being is a spirit being. We need to be in connection with both the Most High and each other in harmony all the time. That's a human need. Now with worldlings, it will not work because they are in a fallen state. And you can't undo their fallen state. Only the gospel can. But the Romans were not interested in looking for the Most High because they worshipped Satan. And after Christ came and was resurrected, it became far more obvious that it's only God that can really save and deliver someone. So they knew that, okay, everyone has enough water, there's enough bread for everyone, but this need for connection is always there. And even people have enough water and enough bread, if this deep-rooted need for connection is not met, people will lose their minds and people may even turn into raging psychos if they're denied inclusion by the community. So Rome had a policy of conformity. Everyone's allowed to have their religions as long as they acknowledge the Roman gods as superior. So everyone did it, except the Judeans. Rightfully so. Now there was cultural conformity, but still, human beings without Christ, they produce pollution energetically because they don't walk in righteousness. So they have, in their energy field, they have this heavy, toxic, foaming energy, which is negative energy. And negative energy brings forth danger. So what do you do with the danger that worldlings produce? You redirect the danger to selected targets. But you don't want the masses to do this on their own because then we escalate. So you have the courthouses where they sentence people to prison, or they physically abuse someone as a punishment, or they convict someone, or they condemn someone to harsh labor, or in some case they execute someone. So you have the legal system that the Romans had for that. And besides the legal system, you also had the political arena with political debates where the people felt represented. The reason I'm taking it slow in this video because I want you to understand the context. Even if all worldlings have enough food and enough water and there's no such thing as homelessness nor poverty anymore, the fact that they're worldlings will always cause them to bring forth pollution because they operate in darkness. And in this darkness, they don't want to deal with the pollution they bring forth collectively. Nobody wants to deal with it. So they have this delusional expectation that everything has to work out perfectly fine without any self-reflection on their part. And this is a big delusion because it cannot work. But nevertheless, this is a deluded attitude that worldlings have collectively, no matter where they live, no matter from which ethnicity they are. So what you do is you give them an outlet for their delusions, because once they have an outlet for their delusions, they are more at ease, and the more at ease they are, the less pollution they bring forth. That means the less domestic violence will be and the less crime. Because when worldlings are burdened by their delusions, when they're so frustrated and infuriated, they will explode. And when they explode, it will trigger other explosions, and then you'll have everyone fighting everyone attacking everyone. That's going to be one big bloodbath here and there. You don't want that. So you make sure that not only are their primary needs met, physical needs, you also make sure that they have an outlet, and that is what politics is for. That's why in the Roman Empire you had politicians that, because you had elections during the Roman Empire on a local level. So, for example, you could take a city like Corinth, or Corinthia, or however you want to call it. In Corinth, let's say you had several politicians that wanted to ban, they wanted to ban this whole welfare system of free bread. And this automatically would trigger a response from the people that are relatively poor, that are dependent on this welfare. And even some of the wealthy people think, no, man, you can't do this. And then you have another politician that will oppose this banning of the welfare system. So then you have two groups. Those are for the welfare system. You can call them liberals if you want. And those that are against the welfare system, you call them conservatives. And then they will go off at each other. And what's the purpose of this? Both politicians, one for the welfare system and one against. That's how it appears to the public. Behind the scenes, they know very well that without that welfare system, things will escalate. So both want the welfare system to remain. So they're not really for or against. They're both for. But to the public, one has to oppose it and one has to defend it. So that there is a virtual fight going on. And because this virtual fight will likely affect the daily lives of people, people feel that it matters to them, so now they become part of the fight. And then you have people fighting and on a virtual level. And this virtual fighting will result in people that are for the welfare system, they come together, they form close bonds, and those that are against it will form close bonds, and they come together. So then you have two camps in the same city, and both camps are avoiding people who are not like them, so everyone ends up with people that are similar to them, and then there's more ease in social and interpersonal relationships. And because there's more ease in personal and in social interpersonal relationships, there's less violence, and people get along better. Why? Because everyone has an outlet for their delusions. So now everyone is focused on whether we should or shouldn't have a welfare system. And if there is a welfare system, those that are against, the more conservative ones would say, you see, we have a welfare system, and that's why those people are so lazy. They don't want to work, and because they don't want to work, now we as the rich have to pay more taxes. It's not fair. And then you have other wealthy people saying, well, hold on a minute. We don't really pay that many taxes to begin with. So what's the point that those people get grain for free? They don't harm anyone. And then the others think, yeah, but it's my money, I have to go to work and pay. So it's more of a core expectation that they want validation. They work hard for their money, so they want others to do it too. They can't stand that they have to go through a lot to get the money, and others just get their needs met in an easy way. You see now, people have an outlet for their frustrations. And whether or not the welfare system is abolished or retained doesn't matter. What matters is that the people have an outlet. The more of an outlet they have, the less chance there is for an increase in domestic violence, which might lead to even a civil war. So, now you know why bread and circuses is the unofficial policy all over the world. Countries or districts that don't apply bread and circuses, they will have the formation of ghettos, which will lead to generations of crime in that community. So understand that today is the same as during the ancient Roman Empire. It's bread and circuses. Worldlings need an outlet for their delusions because they don't want to face reality. They don't want to face the truth. They don't want to face they are vulnerable creatures with mortal bodies. They don't want to face that they need God, that without God they can't even breathe. They want to be something they're not. They want to be independent. They want to be sovereign. They want to will for free. They want to just do whatever they want without having to give any account. They will whatever they will and just find a way to deal with it, which is completely against reality. So worldlings, collectively, they are delusional. If you keep shining the light on their darkness, they will turn on you to devour you. Look at what they did to Christ. Look at what happened to the apostles. Look at what happened to the prophets of old. Look at what happened to believers throughout history. So you don't shine the light on them. You shine the light on the victims. So you select victims and you shine the light on them. So everyone now sees the flaws and the blameworthiness of the victims. Whether the victims are guilty of something or not doesn't matter. They become guilty by decree of society. And now because all the anger and all the bad attention is on the victims, no one else gets bad attention. That is security they have. That's how the commoner gets covered. Because if those victims are not around, that means that anyone can be victimized easily by the dumping of someone else. So the random dumping on anyone is punished by death or by prison. But the collective dumping is arranged by the political system just so that the masses don't stamp on each other's throat. I could have made this video just 3 minutes, but I took 50 minutes just to explain in detail how it works. Because as believers, it's important for us to know how these things work. So next time there's a political debate, understand it's not about finding solutions. Solutions is not even the goal of those debates, nor of those arguments, nor of those meetings. The real purpose is to relieve the masses. If you want believers, let them relieve the masses. Because if the masses are relieved, we as believers have also more ease in daily life. I'm not saying to support this relief mechanism, but if the world wants to relieve their own, let them relieve their own. Unless they want to harm innocents and they want to commit genocide, then we need to intervene. But if it's just debates and there's no blood sacrifice directly involved, let them relieve their own. Because the masses are not ready for salvation or redemption. So that's why the only thing they have is relief. That's how it goes. Till they die and later resurrected and deported to the lake of fire.